reform entitlements to Nancy Pelosi. I will put my credentials up against anyone, including you, when it comes to immigration reform. But you need to understand that our military is in a state of disrepair, that we've suffered since 2011, and we're at war, and we need to take better care of the warfighter. The dreamers are important, but nobody is more important to me than the men and women who are fighting this war.
And you have shared your concern and passion for those dreamers, and you just a couple of days ago said you're growing increasingly pessimistic about a deal on immigration.
Well, it's hard to get there. Obama failed, Bush failed. I hope Trump can get us there. The $25 billion for the wall makes sense to me. A $1.8 million pathway to citizenship is very generous. I hope we can get there. But more than anything else, I hope we can rebuild the military, listen to our generals, and give the warfighter what they need to carry on the war we can't afford to lose. So the dreamers are important. We'll take care of them, I hope. Fiscal conservatives, you know where the money's at. It's in mandatory spending. There's no good reason to vote no if you really care about the military.
All right. And you have penned this letter with Chuck Grassley, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, on which you sit. What have you discovered about this Steele dossier?
Well, it was a piece of political garbage. It has still not been verified to this day. Almost all of it is unverified. It was compiled by a foreign agent who was receiving money from the Democratic Party, who went to Russia to get the information. Russia's meddled in our elections. They were flowing a bunch of garbage to Steele. The Department of Justice and the FBI swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Steele hated Trump. The dossier was political, in my view, garbage. It was used to get a warrant. That was wrong. Somebody has to watch those who watch us.
You wrote in this that you concluded that they relied heavily on Mr. Steele's dossier claims. Did they rely solely on it?
I don't know if they relied solely on it. I do know that the Russian investigation by Mr. Mueller is really unconnected to all this. What I worry about is that the FBI is a great organization, but you got at least 2 agents who went rogue when it came to the Clinton email investigation. The fact that you would use a politically motivated document to present to the FISA Court should concern every American. The number 4 guy at the Department of Justice, Mr. Orr's wife, worked for the same company, Fusion GPS, that employed Mr. Steele. There's a lot of stop signs run, and there's more coming, by the way. Just stay tuned. There's more coming.
As far as this memo that Democrats have crafted, the president's got a pretty big decision to make. What do you think he should do?
I think he should release it, as long as it doesn't compromise sources and methods. I don't like the dueling memos approach. The Inspector General will tell us what happened inside the FBI. Mr. Mueller will tell us about all things Russia. But now that it's out there, it's out there. The Republicans put out their version, let the Democrats speak on this issue. But what Senator Grassley and I are trying to do is hold people at Department of Justice and FBI accountable for a process that I think really got off the rails.
Real quickly before you go, this FBI informant who's broken his silence apparently sat down for several hours with the Senate Judiciary House Intelligence Committee. Were you there, Senator?
No, I wasn't, but I'll get briefed about it. The one thing I want your audience to know is that Mr. Mueller is doing his job, and I intend to let him do it. But having said that, the FBI's conduct, the Department of Justice conduct, particularly with the dossier, to me is chilling. Somebody has to watch those who watch us. And Mr. Steele's dossier, again, I think was very unreliable. It was used by the Department of Justice, the FBI, in an inappropriate manner. He had a political bias. He was being paid by the Democratic Party to compile the document. Other than that, this is on the up and up.
A lot going on. Senator Lindsey Graham, thanks for coming on and talking about all of it with us. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Fox News right now, there are new questions about President Obama's involvement with the Justice Department and the FBI while he was in the White House. This is we await the expected release of a Democratic memo, which could be out any time. Republican JohnRadcliffe, member of the House Judiciary Committee, former U.S. Attorney. Sir, how are you? And good day to you. You've seen that memo, right?
Hi, Bill. I have seen the memo.
Okay, I want to ask you specifically about that in a moment, but this is one of the text messages we woke up to yesterday. This is Lisa Page saying yes because POTUS. This is August of 2016 now. On screen, guys. Put it up there. Yes, because POTUS wants to know everything we are doing. September of 2016, correct on that. In April of 2016, here is the question and answer with Chris Wallace and then President Obama.
I do not talk to the Attorney General about pending investigations. I do not talk to FBI directors about pending investigations. We have a strict line and always have maintained it, previous presidents.
Just to button this up.
I guarantee it.
Okay, there's a lot of ways to interpret this, and that's why part of the reason why we have you on today. This text message came in September, a few days before he was set to meet with Vladimir Putin. Perhaps he wanted to know what was going on, 2 months before an election. If Russia was meddling, he was going to give a message to Putin. Is that acceptable to you? How do you read it?
I think that is acceptable. Having read it in context, I can't, to be fair, say that somehow related back to the Hillary Clinton email investigation, but to the Chris Wallace segment that you just played, I can say that the president's words there are not just hyperbolic, they're wrong. To say that there was no influence in any case, at the time he made that statement, the lead agent in the Hillary Clinton email investigation had already sent hundreds of texts expressing his political opinions and his desire to influence the outcome. Beyond that, we know that the president was aware to some extent and that the FBI had gone to great lengths to conceal his knowledge about the Hillary Clinton email investigation. A month after that clip that you just played there, Bill, the FBI director, in his own words, wrote an exoneration memo, citing his concern for the fact that Hillary Clinton was communicating on that unsecured server with the president. Subsequent revisions of that exoneration memo deleted the word president and put in another senior government official, and then subsequent revisions took it out altogether. So very clearly the FBI wanted to conceal the president's involvement with this matter. So we know that he was aware. We just don't know how much he knows.
The FBI wanted to conceal his involvement. You stand by that?
Well, very clearly there was an effort to take him out of any discussion about the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Again, Bill, this was the FBI director's own words. He wrote that exoneration memo and referenced the president and then deleted it to take it out.
Understood. In the interest of time, I want to move to topic number 2. You've seen the memo, right? On behalf of Democrats, a week ago, your town was freaking out, right? The FBI was up on the Hill. The FBI was at the White House. It's been quiet this week. What do the American people need to understand about what you read and interpreted in that memo?
Well, I have not only seen the Democratic memo, Bill, but I've seen the underlying source documents. And if the American people get a chance to look at this, what's most important is what's not in the memo. And what's not in the Democratic memo is a reflection that the FISA Court was ever told that the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for the dossier that was used as a basis to spy on an associate of the Trump campaign. They could have done that, in a few words in their 10-page memo. They don't do it because it's not in there. It's not in the FISA applications that I reviewed. So the Republican memo, the Democrat memo, and the underlying documents are all consistent on that point, that the FISA court was not told that one candidate for president of the United States had commissioned and paid for the central piece of evidence being used to seek a warrant to spy on an associate of the other candidate for president of the United States.
In that footnote, what does it say? How descriptive does it get if we were to read it?
Well, so what the Democrats do is they send 10 pages saying, well, the court was told that there were words like political motivation used, and there were footnotes sourcing potential funding sources of how this was paid for, and that the court clearly,
correct? No names?
That could have or should have been able to put 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 together and divide to get to the right answer. So,
okay. All right. Okay. We're going to have to wait. Sorry.
I will tell you, Bill, I hope that the American people do get the chance that it is declassified and they get to see it.
I think within 24 hours we likely will. Sir, thank you for your time. Got to run. JohnRadcliffe.
You bet.
Thank you from the
Thanks,
Hill.
Bill.
Thanks. Another big story we're watching as we await a decision from the White House. That Democratic FISA memo, as text messages from those 2 FBI officials now raising new questions about the involvement between the FBI and the DOJ and possibly during President Obama's White House time. Chief Intelligence Correspondent CatherineHerridge, live in D.C. All right, what are we learning from the new text messages? Catherine, where do they take us?
Well, Bill, in this case, the timing really matters. The text was sent in September 2016, 2 months after the FBI closed the Clinton email investigation, recommending against criminal charges, and 2 months into the Bureau's Russia probe. Then FBI agent Peter Strzok writes to FBI lawyer Lisa Page using Bureau shorthand. Talking points for Director Comey. Page replies, yes, because POTUS wants to know everything we are doing. It's not clear from those texts alone whether Strzok and Page are referring to either investigation or something else. In an interview on Fox News Sunday at the height of the FBI's criminal probe into the emails, President Obama said he had no special access to any investigation.
I do not talk to the Attorney General about pending investigations. I do not talk to FBI directors about pending investigations. We have a strict line and always have maintained it, previous presidents.
Fox News asked the department's Office of Professional Responsibility that investigates allegations of misconduct whether Strzok, Page, and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe still maintain their security clearances. And they said in this series of emails that they would get back to us if they could comment, and there was simply no follow-up, Bill.
Where's the White House on this, Catherine?
Well, President Obama was interviewed by Fox News Sunday in April of 2016. So that's at the height of the Clinton email case and before the FBI opened its Russia probe. And this morning on Fox, Kellyanne Conway said the texts are not consistent with his interview, where he did insist that he was not in the loop on any investigation.
I saw people showing the clips of President Obama in interviews saying that he does not interfere or ask about DOJ or FBI investigations. So people are going to have to square there where the truth is.
Agent Strzok and FBI lawyer Lisa Page were removed from the special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation and then reassigned at the FBI after the internal watchdog, the Inspector General, uncovered texts in the course of his review of the Clinton email investigation. Mr. Horowitz testified to Congress last year that he expected to issue his full report sometime in early 2018, perhaps March or even April. He was tasked with the review of the FBI's handling of the Clinton email case and whether then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, FBI Director Comey, his executives, and their agents deviated from standard procedures in that case, Bill.
Thank you, Catherine. CatherineHerridge for the latest there in Washington. Sandra.
For more on all this, New York Congressman Pete King is a Republican on the Intelligence Committee. He joins us now. Congressman, thanks for being here this morning. What can you tell us? What is the latest on this memo and its potential release?
Listen, I hope the president is able to release it. If there's any redactions that have to be made at the request of the FBI, that's one thing. But I've read the memo. I've read it several times. And I want it out there. And I want people to be able to compare the Republican memo and the Democratic memo. As I read it, I saw nothing in there that rebutted any of the main points that we made. In fact, any of the points that we made. So I think it's important to get it out there. Now, what the Democrats did do, again, this is just from my reading of it, it did appear that there were some references to sources in there. And if the FBI wants that taken out, fine. But I think that any